Now, Skeery.
Yes.
Brody.
Yeah.
We got a problem here. Brody, have a seat there.
Yep.
So I don't know if you've been following their podcast, Brooklyn Boys, or what is it?
Yeah, the Brooklyn Boys.
The Brooklyn Boys. But for years and years, Skeery has been promising Brody a steak dinner. You've heard the story, right, Danielle?
Yes,
Froggy?
of course.
5 years, 2 months.
Yes.
For 5 years.
Not that he's counting.
Yeah, no one's counting. But for 5 years and 2 months, Skeery's been promising you this steak dinner.
Yeah.
And so finally, after you guys had your big debut at the college, at career night, or whatever.
Brooklyn College, yeah.
You, Skeery says, I'm taking you to the world famous Delmonico's.
Very impressive.
It is. Now, you know me, I'm a restaurant groupie, and I study the history of restaurants, this and that. Delmonico's is the first restaurant in America. Did you know the restaurants before that weren't really restaurants? If you would go stay in a boarding house or even before hotels, the person who ran the boarding house would make dinners and they would have a dining room. Those were really kind of the first restaurants, but not really. Then people would start stopping by in the neighborhood. Oh, you know, the boarding house down the street has great food. Let's go eat there.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of a crude first restaurant. But Delmonico's was the first restaurant in America to bring the French way of dining. Because restaurants were huge over in Paris. The French way of dining to America with fine dining, great food, dress up for dinner. So Delmonico's, even though it's not in the same huge dynasty Delmonico family, the family that ran Delmonico's, but it's there. It's downtown Manhattan. It's a piece of history. So Skeery, finally, after 5 years, paid off with this steak dinner at Delmonico's, the first restaurant in America.
Well, yes and no. So we go to this amazing, and you sense the history when you walk in. And he goes up to the hostess stand and he says, "Hey, ladies, reservation for 2, Skeery Jones from Z100. And so I said, "You really gave your name as your radio name at the radio station?" "Yeah, well, I wanted to make sure we get a table and,
yeah, because it was a special occasion.
You know, let them know who we are."
Yep. Skeery likes to play that card. So anyway, so you go in.
We get a great table. Now, he's taking me to dinner. He grabs the first seat with the best view, which he didn't let me choose my seat. Thought that was kind of rude. It was a bad date.
Interesting.
And so we figure out what appetizers we're going to order. And I noticed that the hostess is pointing to the waiters. The waiters are pointing at us. Everybody's pointing at us. And I think, oh, has he mentioned who we are? So the waiter comes over, and I'm trying to, like, play it down. I said, maybe, you know what, we'll get like 2 appetizers. "No, let's get 3. And I'm kind of humble about it. "No, it's scary. Don't overspend." "No, it's on me. 3 appetizers, whatever you want."
He's buying you dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
You should like stock up.
I know, but
nice.
I felt bad because originally Greg T and Skeery were going to go half, and Greg T bailed out. So it's all on Skeery.
Okay.
So this gentleman comes over to us, nice suit, very well groomed, and he says, "I just want to say I'm a big fan. I love Elvis Duran in the morning show. Listen every day. I love you guys. I heard you were here. My name's Dennis."
No, Dennis. He owns Delmonico's.
Well, that's what we found out.
Oh wow, you
so
met
he
the
says,
owner?
"Can I sit and talk to you guys? I love you." So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
sure. He sits down. We're talking. We're chatting. He helps us pick our steaks. The food comes, and he's talking to us. And he's like, "Do you want me to leave?" I said, "No, hang out. Then I notice he starts brings a plate over. He starts eating steak. He's eating some of our food.
You're eating dinner with the owner.
I were totally cool with that, by the way.
Right,
We had a great conversation.
that is like a
Right.
That's a total cool thing.
And he's telling us about the history of the restaurant. So he gets up, and I say to Skeery, "You know, if he eats our steak, you owe me another half of a dinner." So Skeery's like, no. Anyway, so dessert comes, time's come, and we say, "You know what, we don't want any dessert.
Right.
It's too much money." He says, "Dessert, I'll pick out desserts." A whole plate of desserts come. I'll pay baked Alaska.
Wow. And so Skeery is now buying you a massively expensive dinner.
I said, "You know what, Skeery?"
I was prepared to do that.
I said, "Skeery, you know what? You're off the hook. This is amazing. You've gone above and beyond. It's worth the 5-year wait." And when the time comes, Skeery says, "You know what, Dennis? We have to go. We have to work in the morning. Let's just take the check. Thanks for a great evening." And Dennis says, "You know what? I love you guys. It's so much fun talking to you. Dinner's on me tonight." And so he picked up the tab for dinner.
So Dennis, the restaurant, Delmonico's, picked up your dinner.
Yes.
Unexpectedly, and then Brody smirked and gave me a little side eye.
And why?
Because Skeery was supposed to
I
buy me
can't hear
dinner.
you. What?
Because
Why did you
Skeery
give
was
him
supposed to
side-eye?
buy me dinner.
That's right. Skeery was supposed to buy your
But
dinner.
Dennis bought me dinner, so Skeery still owes me a dinner.
Absolutely he does.
Yes,
he does. Yes, he does. Yes, he
No, he
does.
Wait a minute, Elvis.
Yes, he does.
Skeery had every intent to pay for dinner.
But he
The
didn't.
circumstances
It doesn't matter.
were beyond his control, and so it wasn't his fault, but he tried his best.
No.
Oh,
No, yes,
I agree.
Frog, you agree with Danielle?
I do. In a roundabout, I'll tell you why. Because Brody, the end theme needs to be that Brody gets a free steak dinner. And
No.
he got a free steak dinner last night.
No,
Yes.
you're wrong. No,
Skeery got him a free steak dinner.
No, Skeery was going to buy him dinner. He did not buy him dinner.
Skeery
But he
paid
wouldn't
no
have gotten
penalty.
that dinner without Skeery.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Skeery was supposed to suffer the consequences of why he owed me dinner
Oh,
and pay
goodness.
for my dinner. He did not pay for my dinner.
You owed him dinner, Skeery.
I got nothing from Skeery.
Oh, Judge Crotch is mad. Enter into the courtroom Dave Brody, who was owed a dinner. So Skeery, walking into the courtroom, said he would buy him dinner. Let me buy you dinner because you did me a favor. I'm going to do you a favor and buy you dinner. Let me buy you dinner. Buy. B-U-Y, buy. Therefore, the owner came out, bought your dinner. In my opinion, Skeery still owes him dinner.
Right.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Skeery, do you wish to speak on your defense?
I would like to. I just want to say this. We leave the restaurant and Brody, first of all, takes all the leftovers home. Okay, that's first of all. I was getting nervous. I accidentally stuck my sleeve in the baked Alaska. I dirtied my shirt. I did not expect a free dinner. I wasn't going in there for a free dinner. I just wanted to pay for the whole
Doesn't matter.
thing and make good on
Doesn't matter. You owe him a free dinner. Yes, Brody.
I believe he name dropped so he'd get at least free appetizers and maybe free dessert because he's famous.
Yes. The court recognizes Froggy. Yes, Froggy. You're
Was
wrong,
there
but go ahead.
Was there a tip left?
I put a very okay, I'll just tell you. I dropped a $100 bill on the table for all the waiters.
All right.
All, 3
So you
hours
owed Brody a dinner, but not a tip.
$100.
Right.
That's like steak
That's
dinner right
$100
there.
though.
I think
matter.
Brody should say, you know what, Skeery? We had a great time. It was so much fun. It wasn't your fault. It was awesome. Don't worry about
I
it
drove.
anymore.
I paid for parking.
Of course. Come
I
on,
drove.
Brody.
Well, I tell you what.
Skeery's off the hook.
$10.
I tell you what. This texter says it the best. The appropriate and classy thing for Skeery to do is tell Brody, you know what? I still owe you dinner. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you, Texter.
Whatever.
What about the $100 I left?
But Brody has to leave the tip.
I offered to pay half the tip, and he said no, because if you pay half the tip, I won't owe you a dinner.
Oh, this is awful. All right. I'm sorry. You still owe him dinner.
Thank you.
A steak dinner. Steak.
A nice steak
You're
dinner.
getting a dirty water hot dog in my book.
Right.
Judge Crotch has spoken.
That's ridiculous.
What
Judge
straight,
Crotch.
Nate? What?
You agree?
I gotta say, I kind of agree with Skeery. Sorry, Elvis.
Yes.
With the
yes,
addition
thank
of the
you.
with the introduction of the new evidence, the fact that Brody took all of the leftovers,
Yeah.
Right.
I gotta say that constitutes a
Okay,
free
yes.
meal.
Brody
and a
always
$100
takes.
tip.
I would say maybe he owes you like a hamburger. I wouldn't say a steak. Maybe give the guy a hamburger
Brody
and then
walked
you're
out-
even.
Brody
All right,
walked out
well,
with
let
a
me tell you,
pocket full of
this is
ribeye.
one of the awful things about being a judge. You know what? Sometimes you have to make the tough decisions, and I've had to do it this time. Once again, Judge Crotch has spoken.
Oh, goodness.
Judge Crotch has spoken.
And now he's eating
Judge
free
Crotch
lunch.
sucks.
He's
What?
eating free lunch. He walked out with a pocket full of ribeye yesterday.
All right, are we done?
No.
Judge Crotch blows.
Come on, Crotch.
And well.
Judge Crotch blows.
Come on,
blow,
Brody.
Crotch.
Hey, you're in contempt.
I'm in contempt. I think we should get a new laptop in here. It's,
Come on, Crotch. Let's go.
Don't you have any mercy on me? I made the effort.
I have no mercy on you.
You blow, Crotch.
I blow crotch. All right, here you go.
Oh, Josh, please get
Let
that
me
one.
let me check. Hello, Andrea.
Hi.
Yes, Andrea. What do you think? Your answer will stick. What is it?
Well, I think Skeery absolutely owes Brody a dinner.
Yes, absolutely does.
Stop it.
Send her a shirt.
You
Okay,
blow
no,
too.
now be nice to Andrea. She's a listener. So, Andrea, why do you think that?
I think that if Skeery had only, or rather, if Brody had only gotten the free dinner, then Skeery would be off the hook. But Skeery also benefited from the free dinner, so therefore, Brody still needs the
You
dinner.
know, there's another piece of evidence we're entering now. How do you like that, straight Nate?
Well, I kind of agree with you now, Judge Crotch. Sorry.
you,
Sorry,
thank
You
Skeery.
have to put it like that.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Wishy-washy.
Okay, sorry. New evidence.
Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it.
You left a $100 tip.
We got to take a. What? That's great. Now, but you will take him to dinner, Skeery. He will buy. You will buy, and then Brody, you got to leave the tip.
That's fine. And thank you, Dennis, for an amazing dinner. What a friend that guy Dennis is.